Nothing. I think I was just shocked to see you outside.
What was that?
I was shocked to see you outside.
Yeah, I like to do this outside.
Mm.
This is when I'm home. I'm outside, and then when I'm at the ranch, I have that little area inside.
Oh yeah. I don't know. It looks good. Looks
How
fun.
are you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, been busy, but good. Yeah,
You
solid.
feeling ready?
Of course. Yeah. I think I'm these next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it's like taking it a day at a time because I think most athletes would say they feel ready right now. And it's like just like 2 weeks of just like honing in a lot of things. So yeah, I'd say I'm ready like yesterday.
the I met you in 2020 when you demo teamed. I actually really met you the year before at the 19 games because that was your first year, but I don't
Yeah.
remember formally meeting you at the 19 games. Although I just looked at your results and in 19 you were 10th place.
And technically 11th. And then I was supposed to be doing that Sunday, but because Anna Fragu popped.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Spot. Yeah. So I could have potentially gotten higher than 10th.
Because you didn't move on to the next day.
Yeah,
Wow.
I didn't do the whole last day.
And then at 2020, you were on the demo team. You actually qualified for the games, just like the big
Yeah.
games. We had stage one, and then we did stage two, where we brought out a small amount of athletes, 5 and 5. I remember it's funny because they were like we were selecting a demo team before the games, the small games, and they had sent me some lists, and I was like, nah, let's, is there any other options? And they're like, well, there's this girl from Sacramento who's really good. And I'm like, Sacramento? I don't know anybody from Sacramento. And they're like, yeah. And so I'm like, send me her name. And they're like, she qualified last year too. And so I was like, send me her Instagram profile. And then so I looked at you on your profile, and I'm like, oh yeah, cool. She looks like she's pretty fit. So she's good. She's, qualified for the game. So you came out and you tested. And one of the things I remember you testing was we briefed the handstand walk. And even at this point, I don't remember that you, the year before, 19, also won the handstand workout, right? Did you win or did you do really good?
No, I won it.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the second event, and it was called
So,
Tech Cut.
yeah, okay. So I had you demo the 100-yard handstand walk, and you like did the whole thing unbroken. And I think you like came down in the last 5 yards or something.
I think I almost ran into Saxon. Was it
Okay.
Saxon? Oh gosh, it was one of the twins, and they were leading me, and I remember like almost running into him or running into something at the end. But yeah,
And I was like, damn, she's really good. And then I went and talked to you and I said, hey, could you have done that unbroken? And you were like, yeah, for sure.
yeah, and I also got to. Yeah, I remember testing the trail run that year before
You,
everyone got to do it.
you tested a lot.
Yeah, and we tested that. What'd you call it?
Happy
Five
Star.
5 points. Happy Star. I think
Yeah.
we tested it like 2 or 3 times.
Yes. You
I like.
tested it because we kept changing the route and changing the way you were going to run.
Yeah, I liked that one. Yeah,
You
that was
tested
that
them.
was really fun.
Did you
We got
enjoy that experience on the
sprint.
demo team?
Oh my gosh, I loved it. I think because it was much more intimate than I think other years.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I never really been around many athletes either. So it was my first time kind of being around like Saxon and Chandler, who had been like spoken about so much.
Yeah.
Uh, and Saxon is just like such a CrossFit like lover. Like he just
Yeah.
loves everything about it. So being around him was really cool. And getting to do the trail run and the sprint and beating Chandler. I remember like that was such a highlight.
Sandbag carry sprint.
Yeah. The one,
Yeah.
yeah, up the hill.
Straight
Beating
up.
him in that, dusting him in it, and also the trail run. Like I remember passing him and I was like, oh, no.
I think it was when we made you guys do that we kind of decided or came up with this concept. Okay, we can turn, because we didn't have you guys turn around, did we?
We did.
You
So
did?
yeah, so Saxon, I hope it's Saxon. I hope it's not Spencer this
It
whole
is
time.
It is Saxon. It was
Okay.
Saxon. Yeah.
Saxon had already done it. And he was like doing it again, and you briefed it to us.
And he knew the twist. You guys did not.
Yeah. And he like was like, this is like, it's weird. You guys were acting so weird about it. Like you were like, there's a twist. And I'm like, what? Like, no idea. And so, but I thought it was so fun. Like, I mean, I love trail running. So I remember being like, all right, okay. I think I ran it perfectly too.
Speaking of running, what do you think of the 1600?
I think I'm more like curious. I'm not a big tester.
Yeah.
So I think
You're not? You don't try them out?
no.
What about semifinal workouts?
Mm-mm.
Wow. Okay.
The only one I tested partially was the legless one. But yeah, I didn't practice any of the semis workouts.
If I was in your shoes, and I'm clearly not, I would be the type of person who would test them
Yeah.
like over and over. And I know a lot of people do that. A lot of people test them over and over.
I think like a couple weeks out, or like a 2.5 weeks out from semis, I'd been chatting with a lot of people, coaches, athletes, like, okay, I was very clear that I didn't want to test them, but then I got to that 2 weeks out point where I was like, should I be testing them? Like, I kind of like had this doubt of like, I have the answers to the test. Why am I not like doing them?
Yeah.
But I kind of think at that point I was just like, screw it. Like, we're already here. Like, I'm not going to test them. And it worked out. I think like it was exactly what I expected. There were workouts where I was like, oh, like maybe if I had tested this, like I definitely would have gone for this more.
Yeah.
But I think I was playing like the long game, really trying to like focus on what I still needed to be working on and training at the time, as well as like usually at the games, we don't get to test workouts.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of like prepping for that as well.
Yeah. And of the things, well, I guess you could, but of the things we've announced, I guess you could test Chad, but you kind of also don't know exactly.
Right. Like the twist.
Yes, exactly.
And I mean,
Have you done Chad before?
I did back when did it like surface? Like when did it come? That was like 2018.
18 or 19, maybe 20. I'm not sure. No, before 20.
Yeah, like 2018.
Yeah.
And I remember doing it, but we didn't have rucks. Like
Okay.
I didn't have a ruck at that time. So I may have used just like a weight vest. And
Yeah.
I don't remember it being that heavy. Like I don't remember doing it at that weight.
Okay.
And that was years ago. I mean, that was.
Have you tested any component of it since?
Of Chad? Yeah. I've done the most I've done at it. I'm like exposing myself here. The most I've done at a time at once, not necessarily like I've done a workout with step ups, and I don't recall the amount of step ups total that it was, but the most I've done in a row is like 200.
Okay.
And it was like within a workout.
Yeah.
So more testing it, not like directly only as step ups.
Yep. Got it.
So with other things, which can be like, is kind of deceiving, right? Like I did a workout with a bunch of gymnastics and then kind of like throwing that ruck on.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, like this is so like traps. But I'm like, would it feel like this if I hadn't have done all this gymnastics before, So,
yeah.
But not really. Other than that, no.
Going back to the 2020 testing, do you remember the pool workout?
I do.
I think that was one of my favorite events that year, and it was so nasty.
I literally remember that being like, that was the hardest workout I've ever done.
Yeah, Fraser said something along those lines too when he got out of the water. Like, it was so gnarly.
Oh my gosh. Like, and I would love the version of me today to be able to do that workout, because I am like so much more fit than I was in 2020, which is like, I look back at 2020 and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I was a joke. Like I was not very fit. I just relied heavily on the little training and athleticism that I had, but that workout was so hard. Like that, yeah, I remember. And we only did half of it.
Mm,
Like we only tested half.
yeah.
I did.
Do you remember what book I gave you? And I gave all the demo team? Do you
Uh,
remember the author?
oh my gosh, it's like on the tip of my tongue.
Sorry for putting you on the spot.
No, you're not putting me on the spot. Is it the same? Who
I gave you guys all a book from the same author, California, kind of Central Valley legend.
not the same author of To Kill a Mockingbird, is it?
No, 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 no.
I don't know why I thought that. Okay. No, I forget.
It was Steinbeck.
Oh my gosh. I
Yeah.
wish I could remember. Do you
And
remember?
I think I gave you all of Mice and Men, just the classic.
You may have, yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. No, you may have given me something different because I've read that.
Okay.
It may
Okay.
have been something different. I think you actually gave Saxon that because
Yeah.
I'm not sure he was.
He had no idea about like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I had to read that for school. So that's
Yeah.
like I knew that one. Wow. Yeah, what a year.
Yeah, that was crazy. It was wild just being there because like we had no music during most of the events.
Yeah.
You could hear the athletes. I think that was one of the coolest parts of it was during the workout, just hearing them all
Yeah.
and like no music and just grunting through it. I'm glad we did that. I hope we never have to do that again.
Right.
But
No, like I was so lucky that I even got to be there. Like I was like, oh my gosh, even though I'm not competing, and I think at that point in my career though, I wasn't as gutted that I didn't make it. I don't think I mean, I wasn't good enough. So I think I was just like, I'm not even good enough to be here. Like, why would I be upset?
I remember talking to you about like after observing you work out and just go through the process, talking about your mindset
Yeah.
and talking about how like at that point in your career, it definitely was not developed enough.
No. I mean, I also was very like, when it came to training, I was very like aloof. I mean, I was very just like, didn't know much. I mean, at that point, I wasn't even working with Kotler or hadn't even been working with anyone or a coach or anything. So
We
there,
talked very specifically about like how having a coach and like in the future
yeah,
training with someone could be very beneficial for you. And then the next year you did,
yeah,
go that route.
yeah, it was cool. I got to watch like Carrie and Justin go through the games that weekend and then ended up working with them. Crazy.
Yeah. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next year, so that was 2020,
Yeah.
21. Um,
Was,
oh, that was the COVID year.
yeah. Was then like
That was when you were in the car with,
the year. Yeah.
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 Oh yeah, that drama. You were pretty fired up at the games that year.
Yeah. I think, yeah. I mean, I was fired up, but not in like the good way. Not in a
Fired
good
up
way.
in a good way?
Not fired up. Fired up in a, I think it was taking away.
I think you were fired up not in a good way. I think you were pretty angry.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think yeah, I mean,
I hated the shit we had to do to you. This whole like we'd have lane separation and
yeah,
all that. It was so fucking dumb.
yeah. I think yeah, I'm, as much as it sucks that I feel like I got a year, like it taken away, I think like the feelings that I had from that year as a competitor, like regardless of all of it and how like I personally handled it, I just remember being like, I never want to be like that again. And I never like mentally and emotionally want to handle a situation like that again. Like just the way like internally that I handled it was like so bad. And like, I just like am so regretful of it that I learned so much from it.
Yeah.
Like,
That's interesting.
I was not like, of all the adversity I've gone through in my life, nothing like for some reason prepared me for that. And so I think I just like needed to go through that because it was like a different type of adversity mentally that I needed to go through. And, I think like, especially like in my training, there was a lot that year that I wasn't confident about in my training. There was a lot of things that I did wrong, not wrong in the process, but didn't like take full advantage of. And so when I got to the games, like it was not a good mindset. Like I really like did not handle it as good as I could have. I think I could have really like used all those things happening to me as fuel in a good way, and I didn't at all. Like I was a little brat.
Yeah, at moments.
Like I was a brat. Like in terms of what everyone else saw, sure they saw maybe like this sassy, fiery side.
This whole thing.
Oh yeah.
That was cool. I liked that. I thought that was super cool. You know, what's funny is when people were commenting on my shit, like, "Oh, that's towards you, Dave." And actually, you got on and said to someone, "No, it's not."
Not at all. Oh
Yeah,
my gosh, not at all. I don't think like it was fun. Like, I mean, I don't know if I've talked about it really, but like, I didn't really, I was never like blaming everyone for the situation I was in. I think because so much so everybody around me was that I was just like, oh, I'm like enough of like COVID, blaming everybody for what's happening. I think I was just, I was more mad that it just gave me an excuse. I think I was just like full of excuses, like not wanting to like warm up or,
you had your own little secluded area. You had
yeah, but like it really like was not that bad. Like
yeah.
No. And if I was more confident in my training and who I was as an athlete, like I really could have done even better. But because I wasn't, I like used all of that as like an excuse where like I really could have like, I could have I know I could have handled the situation better and I didn't.
Yeah.
But no, it was nobody to blame. Like would it have been nice to work out next to people? Yeah. But I think middle of the workout, I was more like, oh, like I'm not even working out by people. I wasn't like, oh, they're making me do this,
Yeah.
Like
God, reminder of all like, man, I'm just remembering all the stupid things we had to do.
I mean, that was a crazy year.
Yeah.
Even as far as, I mean, other like Brooke having like a major injury on the comp, like that's crazy. Like that's a memorable moment.
That's like one of my most memorable moments ever in any CrossFit Games, because like I was standing there watching her from the media pit, and I just see it happen. And Sean Rocket actually happened to be standing right next to me, and I hit him, and I'm like, dude, just go over the fence, get there. And then when she was coming through the tunnel, just hearing her scream and people were bawling.
Yeah.
It was such a bad. Yeah, it's crazy how she's recovered and thriving now. She's doing amazing. She's great.
Yeah, this freaky injury. Yeah, I remember watching from the side. I thought it was her head. Like I thought the bar had hit her head.
Okay.
And I was like, oh my gosh. Okay. But I think like I had enough times in pole vault, had been ready to go and watch the person in front of me get injured. So many times that like I was just like used to it.
People get injured in pole vault a lot?
Oh yeah. Especially like classic. If you're up on deck, so you're waiting to go, and the person right before you, right, like has a fall, doesn't make it, has a gnarly injury. You're like sitting there waiting, watching the whole thing. And depending on timing, they're like, all right, you're up next. And you're like, oh my God. Like, okay, here we go. And a lot of times you see people run through, they just like don't even take off. They kind of waste a turn. So, but I was like, all right, I guess it's my turn to snatch now. I don't remember who had to go next, but I would imagine they may have failed. I'd be curious.
I remember talking to everyone about it before they going up, like the last few lifters, like, hey, like move on, like be safe, don't do anything dumb, or don't try to do anything dumb. Yeah, that was a crazy moment.
Yeah.
I think I had to talk to you about a judge interaction too. I think I've had to do that a couple times.
Okay. This one I remember because the judge was standing in front of the clock the whole time.
I'm not talking about that. I think there was something out on the field. I think it was 21. I'm pretty sure it could have been 23.
Yeah, wasn't that out on the field with the interval one?
Ah, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I remember like they were standing in front of my clock the whole time.
Okay.
And it was, yeah, I was like, I can't see the clock.
I think you might have said it a little stronger than
Maybe.
that.
Probably. Yes, I probably did.
You know what's funny though? Like everything you went through that year, that was definitely a turning point for you in terms of like, you're like now the fan favorite. Like you've become like this, like everybody, it seems like rallies behind you. And I don't think you had that before that year. And then obviously the whole iconic flipping everyone off. Um, you're like the bad girl icon. And I think the 21 year and everything we're talking about and everything you went through was the foundation for that. No? Or
Yeah.
what do you think?
I mean, totally. I think like
It
after
definitely put you out there more.
yeah, no, totally. Like having blue hair, flipping the
Yeah.
crowd off. I think it was, yeah, I mean, definitely like a lot more eyes on me. But then the year after was my best year yet.
22?
Yeah, when I got fourth. That
Oh,
was
yeah.
definitely like a turning point. I mean, like I definitely was like, okay, I'm never gonna let that happen again.
Yep.
Trained my ass off to where I got to any competition and I was like, I could really trust my training. And I'm glad I did because I think it kind of like backed up who I was and with all
Yeah.
the attention I got, like to be able to go out on the comp floor with pink hair and actually get a good placing felt good.
Did you do pink hair in 22?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
23, you didn't do anything.
Nope. Didn't do anything.
24,
No.
it doesn't look like you're going to do anything.
Who knows? We still have 3 weeks.
Yeah, you're right. We still have a few more weeks.
Yeah, we do.
22.
That was the year you took a back seat.
I took a little hiatus. I was on
Yeah.
vacation.
Yeah.
I was up in the hills, trimming trees and hunting,
Yeah.
shooting.
There was a tire swing on that tree not too long ago. You're chilling.
Yeah, exactly. 22, you took fourth. How'd
Mhm.
you feel mindset wise and everything good?
That was great. I was so fit. Yeah, I remember like ready to like attack any workout. I remember going in with like it was such a cool mindset to have as an athlete to really look at any workout and just be like, I know I'm going to suffer and I want to get to that suffering point because I know when I'm there, I can like keep going.
Yeah.
Thing. But I was not strong that year. I had a lot of
Gaps.
I don't think I was injured. Yeah, my biggest gap was strength. So I really struggled on like the yoke one. We had like a yoke deadlift clean. And then I struggled on something else strength wise. Yeah. But
Do you
those were,
feel like that's not an issue now?
yeah, no, it's not.
Oh, back to in 21, wasn't there? Oh, so on that ladder, you also didn't. There was a clean thing that you struggled on and were really frustrated with, or was that 23?
Was that, oh, yeah. What year was, that was, yeah, what year?
Remember when you kind of seemed really frustrated on the floor
Oh, that
during
was last year.
that was 23. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that was last year. That was that was rough. Yeah, I would definitely was still dealing with injury last year, but my back at the games was like completely fine. I think a lot of people have so many questions about that event. They're like, "Why were you sitting there?" People are like, "Oh, she was injured. She was injured," and I actually had to take like two to 3 weeks off before the games last
Oh,
year. I had to get a tooth pulled, emergency tooth pulled. And I don't know if you know this when you get like a tooth pulled. And then I was on like really heavy antibiotics because my jaw was infected and I couldn't work out because you can get the risk of dry socket.
oh,
And so basically the dentist was like, because it hurt so bad, it was like I had a hole and they were like, I got x-rays and everything. And they were like, yeah, actually your wisdom tooth like started to just all of a sudden grow sideways. It's the size of 2 teeth. So this thing was huge. and like something had gotten down there and like had infected so that it hurt so bad. Like I was not sleeping for like 2 weeks because regular painkillers started to like not work. Went to the dentist and they were like, okay, we need to take this out, or you can leave it in so you can keep, you know, doing your little workout thing. And we cannot guarantee that the antibiotics are going to work, and you're probably just going to be in pain for the next month. And I was just like, I don't know, like, do I just continue training with like this pain in my jaw and not sleeping? I don't know. Basically, my only option was to take it out. So I couldn't train for 2 weeks, and then came back to training like that weekend before the games, and then the games. So I think when we got to that clean, it was crazy. Like I'd never experienced my body like not responding. Like people want to say like mentally, I was like people are always like mentally, it's mental. And I'm like, no, mentally I showed up, and in the back of the warm up area, I think Savon shows it. I could not squat clean to save my life 185. Like wow. It was like, it was crazy. But just a month before, you know, I was squat cleaning well above that. So when people are like, oh, she's injured, she was grumpy, I was like really going through it, being like, what is going on with my body? So that's it.
Are you not one of the stronger ladies in the field then, naturally? I thought you were. I thought you're pretty strong.
I am. When I am strong and when I'm healthy, I am strong. And I think people kind of forget, like, especially in my earlier 2019, 2021, I was really strong. Snatch has always been great for me. Even quarters, we had the 3 rep max front squat, which I did great on. When I'm healthy and I'm good, like I'm strong. And I think, unfortunately, with like timing and unfortunate circumstances, I just like have not been able to show up.
Yeah.
Which like it sucks. So
what's your overall, how do you feel about last year's games and your performance and just your experience?
Last year was really tough. I think you know, I switched training camps, switched coaches. I just was not very confident in my training last year.
It's interesting because in the unreleased documentary, a different, not the Savon one, but the other one that other crew, I saw it a few months ago. There's a scene in there where you're like really angry and you talk about your training to your coach, and you're basically, you say something to him like, man, we didn't do enough, or we didn't prepare enough.
What documentary was this?
It's not out yet. It's the CrossFit remember that documentary crew that was walking around the games?
Yes. Yeah.
It was those guys.
Yeah.
So it's not out yet. It's a good scene. You're like, it's funny because like I feel like it should have been explored a little more. Like I wish they would have pressed and like listen. You weren't even talking to them though. You were talking to your coach. And funny. You weren't talking to your coach. Let me rephrase that. You were yelling at your coach. It's cool that they caught it.
Yeah, I was I was pissed about a lot of things last year, I think, training wise. Which, like, you know, I have a great, like, and it was not the coach. It's not the coach. It was not the coach's problem. I think it was just really big lack of communication and like really coming together on programming, especially after such a good year and by this time, right, by 2022, I had learned so much about what really worked for me, like what really worked for me training wise, what made me feel confident, what made me feel fit, right? And there just like wasn't a lot of collaboration on that. And I think it was just really difficult going from one training camp, and I should say even one style of training, to such a different style of training.
Yeah.
That just like did not suit me. Like it just didn't. And there was a lot of kind of butting heads in just trust the programming. But like, I was like, I don't feel fit. Like I do not feel it. But now, like this year, it's funny, like there's a lot, and like with Elle, like there's been a lot of that, a lot of like
The good.
yeah, like good being like, this works for me. This, like, I don't like this, you know. I don't think it should be that complicated.
It shouldn't. It's not. It shouldn't be that complicated. It's not
It
that
should
complicated.
not be.
We
And
can definitely overcomplicate it.
yes.
Um, that made me think of a question. Oh yeah. So like, then what camp? Like, what is your camp, or like, what are you doing, or what do you find? Like, you're just training, and you have a trainer.
I have a L. He lives in Baton Rouge. I live here in Nashville, and I train alone every day.
And he programs for you,
Mhm.
and you give him feedback on the programming.
Yep.
Okay. Do you, because it seems like the previous few years you were in a camp. Are you enjoying this kind of not being in a camp? I think the whole camp thing is funny, by the way.
Me too. I have a lot to say about camps. Yeah, I have a lot to say about camps, but that's like a whole other podcast. Yeah, I think I enjoy training alone, but to be like so transparent, like what's been really difficult lately is what you do really get out of like a camp, and I shouldn't even call it a camp, what you get out of being with a coach every day or being with a training partner every day, no matter like the size of the group, is like the support you get from that.
Yeah.
I think it's been really hard having my support system like dispersed literally throughout the world.
Yep.
And so training, like quite literally, like training alone, sometimes like feeling like I get no social interaction with like people on the daily. That I will say is like the thing that's like lacking the most this year.
Get all your social interaction from your training via your um, social media.
Yeah, literally. So I think like when people saw me at semis, and I'm even so looking forward to the games because I'll just be like with all of like my people and like surrounded by all of my support system.
Do you mean just like your people, or also do you mean just like the atmosphere of the athletes and everyone else?
All of
Everything.
it, and like the atmosphere, everything. I
Okay.
would say first and foremost though, like having my people and like my direct support system. But then like I'm so excited to be around, yeah, like the atmosphere of like, okay, like this is why I train every day really hard.
Yeah.
Because right now it feels like I'm just training alone and hard every day for no reason. Like, what is the point?
There's a big point. It's in a few weeks, and it's in this. The heat. What do you think of the heat? Are you worried about that, or?
Oh my gosh, no. Not really, no. I mean, what, for the run? Or for
Just in general, I think people made a big deal out of it. Yeah,
two events?
exactly. Yeah.
I think before we had known how many events there were, with, you know, our minds like going chaos, like thinking there was going to be so many events outside. I don't even think I was worried about the heat for myself. I was worried for like just it as a whole, because there had already been so many circumstances in Madison of like feeling overheating, but luckily like managing that. But I don't think I don't know how people don't like learn to manage it. Like I remember doing one event outside. It was the like run shuttle one, or the run and push jerk workout. And this was 2022. And I remember like overheating, and I was like, I'm way too hot. And so I remember like learning, I was like, okay, next event, like I need to go on the field and like not be so freaking hot. But I don't think people like learn those things.
Yeah.
And so I think I was more worried for everyone as a whole. But it's only two events, right? So I'm like,
And the first event is at 7 a.m.
Right.
And it's a run into a swim. So
right.
In theory, you'll cool off. In theory.
In a really warm lake.
A really warm lake, yes. And then the Friday Night Lights event, we're gonna do that at like 8 at night.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah. So
it would just be like humid, but when you really like being in Nashville and have trained in Florida, when there's no sun, like when the sun is not directly on you, it's like not nearly as bad.
Here's what's crazy. I want to go back to something about
Yeah.
you training alone and sometimes feeling like
Yeah.
you are in the mecca of CrossFit right now. Like, meaning if you didn't want to feel like you're training alone, there's a lot of CrossFit elite athletes you could train with down the street.
So you think that is what you think. It doesn't work like that.
You can't just pick up the phone and say, "Hey, let's train together," or you could drive up to Cookeville and train with those guys, or you know.
Cookville is a more realistic option.
Okay. I imagine you could DM some fit people and say, "Hey, you want to come train?" And you'll probably not even DM, just
I
post.
think it's that easy.
You'd have a lot of people show up and want to train with you.
It's not even it's not the training part. I actually like what's funny is training and everything like workout related is so fine. Like
Yeah.
that is like the easy part. I think it's more like daily like reassurance that like this is going how it's supposed to be.
Okay.
Luckily like with the workouts and programming, right, I can kind of set myself up in a sense of like, okay, like I've been training for a couple years now and I've gained some knowledge on what it feels like to be on the right trend, on the right track. So it's like in workouts, I can feel this sense of like confidence and be like, okay, like I'm doing the right things. Like I did the right thing in that workout. I got the most out of that workout. I got the most out of training, right? Like I can feel all of those things. But when you're talking about trying to be the next level, like to be, top 5, top 10 even, that's when it's like it's tough to not have like the reassurance from like a coach or training partners.
Yeah.
It's more that. But like training in itself, like do I need someone training with me every day? No. Like do I need to like call up people? No. I think it's more just like literally like the social aspect of it.
Okay.
But like I operate as a human. Like I think I've learned really like people need people. Like
Yeah.
and I think as an athlete in CrossFit even, it's a selfish life to live as an athlete. And so when you're around people, it cannot feel as selfish. But since I'm alone every day, it can feel really selfish. That what I'm doing is I'm really benefiting nobody else but myself. And I don't know, like it's just
That's very true, right?
my human core, it's not like a fulfilling thing.
What do you want to do after this is all done?
I don't know. I've been like really thinking about that lately.
Yeah, like what's next in your life?
Yeah. This is like totally random. And I could be so naive for saying this that I really think I would enjoy not CrossFit, coaching or competing. Or sorry, coaching or teaching in some capacity.
Yeah. Like back to track?
Yeah, like track or even like diving.
Were you a diver too?
Yeah.
Okay.
And in like a on a high school level.
Okay, got it.
Like I think just because high school was such a like turning point in my life with people and like coaches that I had that I think it would be like I think I would find so much fulfillment in that.
Yeah, that's
Like,
wild. You
yeah.
definitely are someone who wants to give back some in a
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think right now, like training alone, especially like I feel like there's so much benefits that I'm getting when it comes to CrossFit and the people, but it's like, I'm like, how can I give back like with my success?
But you said very specifically not in CrossFit though.
I think because when I think of like the classic, like I don't see myself owning an affiliate.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
But if there's like, I think a more like niche way to give back in CrossFit, like with kids, like something where like, I can like really make an impact, that would be like money. But
Yeah.
I think right now I just don't know what that is. So that would be something I think I would have to create.
Well, if it's in CrossFit, we'll work on something. We'll figure something out.
Yeah. So that is why
CrossFit Kids program, we'll create something and work with you on it.
right. I'm saying. So I mean, I don't know anything is if there's even much out there for that. I know a couple things. I know there's a group in Seattle that does like something with CrossFit Kids.
We have a kids program. We used to do in-person courses. We currently don't. We have it's online. But there's a lot of gyms have kid programs.
Yeah.
So, and it's definitely like under I'll say optimized currently. We could be doing much better with it.
Yeah. Yeah. A couple of my friend Nicole in Boston like does really well with kids. And like was doing like a big push for kids classes and CrossFit Kids and stuff. So
have you been to a level 1 ever? Did we talk about this? I think we talked about this in 2020.
In 2020, did we?
Yeah, when you were at the ranch.
I have not been to do an in-person.
Okay. It's something I always talk to the demo team about if they've been to a level 1. And so I figured I must have talked to you guys about it.
Yeah, no, during that time when I was exploring level 1s, it was all online.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll get you to one soon.
Yeah. Need to.
When are you coming out to Texas?
I'll be coming that Saturday before.
Okay. Yeah. And your coach is just dedicated to you. He's not working with anyone else?
Yeah.
That's good.
Unfortunately and fortunately. He had some other athletes that didn't make it.
Do you have a lot of family and friends coming to the games?
Yeah, I have a lot of friends coming.
Okay. Yeah. Are you excited about the new venue?
I am. I'm really curious.
Okay.
I have this feeling it'll feel a lot like, in the sense of like competing and what the day-to-day looks like, it'll feel a lot like semis.
Yeah.
Very consistent.
No. It's going to be more. Here's why I say no. Because even when you think about semis, like it's just going to be on such a larger scale, right? And there's going to be more events, more days. It is like semis in the sense of like it's anchored out of one facility.
Yeah.
But and the scale, this venue is massive. Like it's hard to tell in the photos, but like when you get in there and you look at it, and it has a 360-degree jumbotron, like no shit, like there's no break in it, and you can see the jumbotron from inside. Like it just really feels big, and it's a step up from semis for sure.
Yeah, but yeah, when you touched on it, you said like when it a sense of it all in the same area.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, from like a competitor standpoint of showing up to the same place every day.
Yes, good point.
That's the only thing that I can wrap my brain around, because I haven't even seen pictures. I haven't even looked at pictures, so I don't know how big this thing is.
It'll be cool. You'll enjoy it.
Ooh, I'm excited to see what can be done indoors.
Yeah, a lot.
Because personally, my favorite events at the games have always been the outside ones. Like I love them. Like people love the Coliseum energy. I love being outside.
You'll still have a couple of those.
Yeah. I think like the elements look different outside.
Do you like are you really into handstand walking workouts, or do you like those, or are you just good at it?
I think I'm just good at it.
Yeah.
It depends what the handstand. If the handstand is just like a part of the workout, I'm like, cool, it's just there. If it's like the main thing, I'm like, ooh, okay, like this could be fun.
Yeah.
When it's like it depends, like in a workout with handstands, cool. Yeah. Like it's kind of like a easy thing to where I'm like, okay, not even thinking about that, which is great. But when it's like a skill, that's like really fun. Like I find those fun to kind of.
There was an athlete I interviewed the other day. I'm drawing a blank on her name. She's one of the international athletes.
Oh, is she good at handstands?
No, listen, she might be. I don't know how she is at handstands, but I asked her about handstands, and she goes, they belong in the circus, not in CrossFit. Handstand walking. Yeah.
This I'll be very good at them. Who was it?
I said, hold on, I can pull it up. I'll text you after I'll go back and figure it out.
Okay, well, running should stay in track. Like, I don't know. That's stupid.
Go back to that real quick. So are you fast? Like, how do you feel about the 1600?
I feel okay. I don't think I'm like I don't think I'm gonna win it by any means.
Yeah, but you're
But
not slow.
no, no. It's funny. There was a comment on the post about it, and it was like somebody twist. It's a handstand walk to give Danielle Brandon a chance, and I was like, people just like forget that I'm actually a good runner. Like I
Yeah.
don't know what it is about people kind of just like forgetting that I'm like strong or like oh that I can run. Like
And you can swim too.
yeah, like I've just had like very unfortunate showings. Like very unfortunate.
I don't know if they're unfortunate.
Not unfortunate, but just
You kind of been pigeonholed.
yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I'm excited. I think like when you do bring up a point of or who brought it up that we're testing 3 domains of running. Did you bring that up or where did I hear that? Okay, I heard that somewhere that like oh they're testing 3 domains of running kind of I guess now with this implement and the sprint right, I don't know if that's been announced but that the sprint is maybe not necessarily like just a sprint.
Yes, because there was I teased implement that's going to be incorporated
Right.
in whatever we do there.
Right.
Yes.
But still kind of you can look at it as like a sprint. We're on our feet probably.
Well, you guys don't know much about it yet,
Yeah.
so it could have that thing the entire time. It could have it for half the time. It could have it for a quarter of the time.
Right. But we're still on our feet. I'm imagining it's called a sprint. So I guess it doesn't necessarily have to be a sprint.
You could be sprinting with something.
Right. That's what I imagine. But then at that point, are you really testing like a running sprint capacity? Kind of like the fastest.
You might be.
In CrossFit, you said?
Yeah, in CrossFit, you might be.
CrossFit style, sure.
CrossFit games.
Yeah. But with the mile and then like the 3.5 mile run, when you're testing when I personally am testing all 3 domains of running, I think I'm like, I average out fairly well.
Yeah. And I would say the mile and the 3.5 are, I would say, very different.
Yeah. Oh, very. Yeah.
Did you see Jeffrey Adler recently went under 5 minutes?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's cool because I don't think it's necessarily me personally fun to watch CrossFitters run because we're not fast. Like we're not that impressive.
You're not that fast relative to people who do it all the time.
And
but
I think
you guys are way more impressive all around, and that's the intent, right?
Right. But I think like hearing that, like Adler, like I'm like, okay, like that's getting impressive. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like that's far above like what you would think a CrossFit is capable of. When you truly know CrossFit.
Yeah.
And truly know CrossFit, and then you truly know what runners are actually capable of.
Because when you guys are this good, there's a compromise in a lot of things.
Oh yeah.
Like you're not going to be a 4:30 mile runner if you're this good at CrossFit.
Yeah.
But when those things start to approach, like, but wow, he's under 5 and he's like high 4s. That's really impressive, and he can snatch 300, and he can do all these other things.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially someone like Adler, who is so strong as well.
Yeah.
Because I think maybe.
Didn't he win the deadlift at the games, the 2020 year, going back to that? I think he did. And I think the CrossFit total at the field, remember we had.
Oh, yeah. Oh. He was up against, probably he was up against Justin.
And Frazier.
Oh, and Frazier.
And I remember they heard Frazier, they heard his weight, whatever he put on, and then they just upped it by like a couple pounds.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's strong. Adler is one of the strongest in the field. So, yeah.
Throughout the years, which female athlete have you looked up to or has inspired you? Any?
It's funny. I have not much.
Someone from the old period too. It doesn't have to be someone modern.
It's funny. I'm not much of somebody who looks up to people.
Yeah, no, I figured.
But like idolize. I'm sure there's someone that I talk about that I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so impressed by them.
Anyone from the modern era? Or because they're all your competitors, you don't look at them that way?
I know. I don't necessarily look at them that way. Oh man. I know there's someone and it's really going to bother me that after I didn't say it, but
What about male athletes?
ooh, male athletes. I think I really respect Dallin,
Oh, cool.
but I really respect him as a person.
I don't know him that well as a person, but I know as a
Yeah,
competitor, his history is wild. Like
yeah,
teenage, and now he's on the verge. Like he's done really well at the games.
yeah, yeah. I mean, last year, what he
His
got fifth.
breakthrough year?
I mean, last year he got fifth.
I know, but like breakthrough even higher.
I think okay, this is, and I could get. I know some people will agree with me, some people won't agree with me when I say this. Yeah, maybe he wouldn't like that I'm
Go
saying.
ahead, bring it. Say it.
I think I don't think it's Dallin's time to win yet because
Okay.
I do think he has um I still think he has some big holes.
Yep.
So if it was a really, not to say that the games aren't always well rounded, but there's some games where it's if that had been in, maybe this athlete wouldn't have done as good, right?
Here's the thing, though. I really believe, and I think the results of some of the best have proven in the games, as long as it's programmed for all around fitness, if
Right.
you're the best, regardless of what's coming at you. Now that applies to the Rich, the Matts, the Tias, and
But they are
down
so
below.
ahead.
That yes, exactly though, and that's what we're testing for. We're testing for that.
Right. But
Yes.
but then how do you explain what if it's a games and it's the difference between I mean, what was last year's without Tia? How close was that? I
Yeah.
don't know. If it was really close, and this just comes to mind, Laura and handstands, push-ups haven't
Mhm.
always been so what if there was that? Then would she have won?
We had handstand push-ups last year, didn't we?
Actually, I don't think. No, we only had the freestanding.
The freestanding. Yeah,
Actually,
that's still, you don't consider that a handstand
uh,
push-up?
no.
I would say if in programming there was freestanding handstand push-ups, I would classify that in a handstand push-up. Understanding though what you're talking about though, inverting, kicking up against the wall and just repping out 20,
Yeah, more
repping
of
out
a
30 or 45.
thing
Yeah.
rather than a skill thing.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think Dallin to win, I think it would have to line up for him perfectly.
Okay.
But I think last year breakthrough fifth is still awesome.
Yeah. It for sure is.
But in terms this year, there's so many good runners in the field too, and with two big running events. I think with just when I think of the guys and I think of Dallin, there's not much that separates them. When
No,
you
I think the guys field is really compressed
yeah,
with the ability level, and they're all I think the women's field is a few years behind in terms of the development of the field all being really tight. I think the male field is they're all really similar and all really fucking good.
yeah, I mean, it's crazy. When it in a much more personal sense of they're all good at machines. They're all good at
Yeah.
they're strong. They're all this, and that. And it's
Yeah.
what the heck? So it's gonna take that one event or one thing to separate them.
What guy do you think will win?
Ooh, Ricky or Jeff?
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Ricky or Jeff.
Before we go, any questions for me? I'm not going to answer that question.
Yeah, Ricky or Jeff. I think. Is BKG here this year?
Yeah, he is.
I would love to see him win. But
I think he might be aging out. I don't mean it I don't mean to say that negatively, but he's been doing it for 11 years, and as you age,
yeah,
you lose something, and it is take everything out, it is sport.
Right.
You
Oh,
know, I don't mean that against, just mean about life, and that's a
right.
natural.
Question.
Yes, competition. Yep.
Are we going to see any more events released? Because I'm sick of them being released.
Yes, actually. So be prepared to be sick of them a little more.
More?
Probably
You're
this week.
getting okay. What happened to preparing for the unknown?
You still are. They're still going to be unknown and unknowable. See, you have been to, or you understand some concepts of
I
CrossFit.
understand a lot of concept of
I know
CrossFit,
you do.
but what is going
Yes,
on?
so we go back and forth with this every year, and this year decided to do some, especially with the outdoor events because of permitting, and it just kind of eases it up to let them be out there.
Okay, anybody who hasn't been running, they're not going to get better at a mile and 3.5 miles. I hate to break it to any athletes that think they're going to get better if they just go practice a mile, but why? What's the okay? Those, but what's the point in more events?
Well, same concept for this next one we're going to release this week. When we release it, you're going to say, what was that?
It's to ease our minds.
It's a few things. It's to give the community talk, give people excitement, build up. It's like the entertainment of it. It has less to do with you guys, honestly,
Okay.
and more about like this is a sport, and this is something like we want people talking about the sport. We want people being excited. We want to entertain the fans. And this is one way. Like now, people are talking about all these things that have been announced. In
But
the year we don't announce anything going into the games, people are like, "Oh, the games are coming up. What are they doing?" Well, we don't know yet.
right. But
So there's
confident
balance.
that it's gonna like cause like positive interaction,
Oh,
or
I
is
don't. Interaction is good. All interaction is good. If people are talking shit, who cares?
I really knew you were gonna say
I
that.
don't care. Yeah, like I don't care. Like if people are talking shit about an event, good.
Okay.
Like hey, Chad. Like people were really, people
Right.
were really worried about us announcing internal on our little team because of some of the quarterfinals step up.
Right.
And I'm
Okay.
like, that's gonna be. We're gonna announce this, and we're gonna announce it with confidence.
When did you decide that Chad would be a part of the games? What month and what day and what time?
uh, it was before all of that. It
Okay.
was. It's been a while. Yeah.
Okay.
Been playing with it for a while. Here's the truth about chat. For years, been thinking about how and when to do it,
Okay.
and this was kind of like, okay, this is gonna be it. Yeah.
Fair.
Fair. Any other questions?
No, that was really my questions to ask around
You know,
releasing programming.
it feels like most athletes are like they don't want them released. They want to just find out there.
Yeah.
And because of that,
I think veterans
yeah,
don't want them released, but I
yeah,
think
yeah, that makes sense.
for me, I think I hate that it gives rookies a little bit more. You
Ah,
know,
into the head of DB.
I'm just like, ugh, cool. But also, I'm like, whatever, you can keep practicing your little step ups and just waste your time doing that the whole time.
Good, I like it. You're such a fierce competitor.
Yeah. A fuel.
Well, thank you for making this happen. You're the last athlete, so I've interviewed all 79 now. So you were the first. Well, I texted you and Brooke, so I don't remember exactly which athlete I asked first, but you were, I'll say, the first,
It's
and
only cool that I ended up last.
then you ended up being last. Yeah,
Yeah.
it makes total sense. And a lot of people thought you wouldn't do it at all. I saw a lot of comments like, "She's not going to do it."
I got a lot of DMs saying I should probably hold out.
Oh man, wow! I don't like those people.
Yeah,
Well, thank you then for doing this. I really appreciate it.
yeah, of course.
And looking forward to seeing you in a few weeks.
Me too. I'm excited. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.